Let's talk about how to find the limit as x approaches a number, in our case, this 9. So the very first thing you always want to do is you want to evaluate your function at that given value for your variable. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll replace our variable, x, with 9 in this case. So the 9 gets replaced in both the numerator and the denominator, and then we'll go ahead and simplify this down. So for our numerator, we get to negative 72 plus 72, which is going to work out to be 0. And for our denominator, we get 81 minus 18 minus 63. So that also works out to be 0 in the denominator. This actually does give us some information about our problem, though. It tells us that we can continue going. We don't have to stop there. So to continue, what we'll want to do is we'll want to go ahead and try to factor both the numerator and denominator. This one's not going to be too bad. In fact, because we got 0 on both the numerator and denominator, that tells us that we have a factor of x minus whatever that value was we were approaching, both in numerator and denominator. All right, well, that's a handy piece of information to know, because we can kind of work backwards for the numerator at least and think to ourselves, x multiplied by what will make negative 8x. In our case, it's going to be negative 8. We also want to double check and make sure if you were to redistribute that, negative 8 times negative 9 makes the positive 72 for the constant. All right, for our denominator, we have one of our factors. To get the other factor, it's not just going to be a common factor this time. I think it's going to have to be a binomial. So we should be thinking to ourselves, we have x multiplied by another x will produce the x squared, the first term. And then negative 9 times what makes negative 63, the constant? Well, negative 9 times positive 7 should make negative 63. We also probably want to double check that positive 7 added to the negative 9 gets our middle coefficient, that negative 2. Sure enough, it does. From here, we now have a common factor between numerator and denominator. We can put this into lowest terms by eliminating x minus 9 multiplied by the entire numerator and x minus 9 multiplied by the entire denominator. This is going to result in the limit, as x approaches 9, of negative 8 over x plus 7. From here, all that remains is we need to evaluate this function, now in lowest terms, as x approaches 9. So to do that, we simply replace the x in the denominator with a 9 and do a little bit of simplifying. So negative 8 over 16, 9 plus 7 makes that 16. In lowest terms, 8 over 16 makes 1/2. We'll bring that negative along as well. And that is our limit. All right, so those are the steps. Hopefully that helps out as you're working on evaluating limits of functions.